And here we are. Good evening, everybody. So just before I started that off, Regan, good on you for devouring all the podcasts that I do over on Acts on This. If you're an actor and you want to hear podcasts, interviews with the greatest minds literally in the acting industry, make sure you go over to actsonthis.tv and you grab yourself a membership. There's so much on there for free as well. You don't need a premium membership. You want to get access to it all, get a premium membership, still super cheap, only 10 quid a month, but you get access to 400 hours worth of podcasts and interviews with the greatest, the biggest casting directors in the industry, some of the biggest actors in the industry, casting directors, agents, actors, directors, producers, writers, and more. It's a total no-brainer. So thank you, Regan, for checking it out, which is awesome. So, like I say, it's the book club tonight, guys. I haven't got a book in my hand, as you can tell, but I have got one on my screen because I've downloaded it electronically. I'm getting a copy of this book tomorrow via Amazon. It's being sent next day, but I didn't get it in time. But it's all right because I'm just going to give you the intro to it tonight. It's a really great book. Who's heard of a guy called Sean Stephenson? Anyone heard of Sean? Super inspirational guy. Incredible, super qualified psychologist. Expert of NLP. The guy's a doctor, effectively, in psychology. Caroline's saying no. Well, you will have heard of him by the time you finish this broadcast tonight, Caroline. You're going to love the guy. Fanny says yes as well. And thank you for sharing this. I can see people sharing it already. If you're on Facebook, would hugely mean the world to me if you would share this. Just click the share in the bottom right-hand corner, put it on your page, send it to your friends. Anyone needs like an injection of positivity and inspiration tonight, send this to them. It's going to have an impact on them. Fanny's already shared it. Thank you, Fanny. And if you're on Twitter, give me a retweet. Would love that. Or if you're in Periscope, click the three dots bottom right-hand corner, click share, and spread the message. Send it out there. Patricia's here as well. Patricia, thanks for joining us, which is great. So I can see Andrew Connor's just shared on Facebook as well. Thank you, Andrew Connor. And one other person, it says as well. I don't know who that one other person is. He shared it on Facebook just now, but thank you. So Sean Stephenson, if you don't know who this guy is, I'm going to play you a short excerpt of a TED Talk that he did. You might have seen the guy. He's a super inspirational guy. He was born a little guy with brittle bone disease, actually. It was easier to count how many bones in his body hadn't broken than had broke during his birth. He came out a little broken bag of bones, bless him, and the doctors gave him 24 hours to live. This is a genetic condition. It's got a really technical medical name, but ultimately brittle bone disease, and I'm sure you've all heard of that. He's overcome a shed load of adversity, obviously because of that. He has to use a wheelchair. He's a small little guy. Obviously, he's got physical abnormalities, can't walk properly. Huge load of challenges that would crush a lot of people. What this guy has achieved in his life is just fantastic, and now he's like one of the world leaders when it comes to thought leadership, just motivational speaking, but he knows a shit ton of science behind it. This guy's got so many qualifications in the science of psychology and success, so he doesn't just go around preaching a bit of airy-fairy bollocks. He really knows what he's talking about. So I'm going to play you a little clip of Sean in action. I pray to God. Good evening, Jason. How you doing, mate? I pray to God now when I play this, because technically I don't own the license to this TED Talk. I hope this isn't in Facebook's algorithm and it's just going to cut the feed because it's going to go, you don't own this. I'm using fair use, Facebook, if you're listening, if your robots are listening. This is fair use. I'm not selling this, and I'm not using it as entertainment. I'm using it to document Sean Stephenson's career. So don't cut this off. If the Facebook feed goes, though, guys, I'm sorry, but I don't think it will. Fingers crossed, I'll see you in about 2 minutes. This is a bit of Sean.
Never believe a prediction that doesn't empower you. When I was born, the doctors told my parents that I would be dead within the first 24 hours of my life. 35 years later, all those doctors are dead. And I am the only doctor that remains. Never believe a prediction that doesn't empower you. How many predictions have been thrown at you your whole life? If you believe predictions that do not empower you, you will wither away and die. Either physically die or your spirit will die as you just walk around the world like a carcass that is just following the masses. You will be given a lot of titles in your life. You will be told so many different things. You must only listen to that which empowers you. I have a belief that has served me in my life, and that is that everyone is rooting for me to win, even those that do not know it.
There you go. It's a little bit of Sean in action live at 10, and I think the feed on Facebook is still going, so therefore Facebook didn't ban us for showing that. Super inspirational guy, like I say, and what he says there really made an impact with me in terms of how many times have people on here right now been told shit that hasn't empowered them, have been given predictions at school, in an acting class, by a director, by a casting director, by their mum, by their brother, their sister, whoever, that hasn't empowered them. And for some reason, whatever reason that is, their subconscious has taken that on and has honoured that, and it's held them back. Good evening, Brian. It's held them back literally for the rest of their life. So what I do in the Bulletproof Actor program that a lot of people on here are going through right now is ultimately break down these limiting beliefs that people have people have been given throughout their lives that have really held them back, sometimes for decades. So they're told something at school when they're 10 and they're 40 years old and they're still held back by that thing. They have a bad relationship breakup at 18. They still can't get relationships right at 50. There's a load. Other people will absolutely force these disempowering opinions and predictions onto you if you're not careful. And like he says at the end, ultimately, you've got to believe that everybody's rooting for you, even if they don't know that they are. Okay, so we're going to look at Sean's book tonight. The book is called Get Off Your Butt, and B-U-T, not double T. It's not about that butt, but whose butt's got fat? Not their actual butt, but their B-U-T. Who says things like, I would do that, but I'm going through the comments that I'm getting underneath the lessons in Bulletproof Actor right now, and I'm still seeing resistance of some people who are like, oh, well, I get this, but it doesn't apply to me. No, it does. It absolutely does apply to you. You're in full excuse mode when you're saying things like that. Caroline says she's got a fat arse, but that's all right, Caroline. We're going to get you off that butt tonight. Andrew's saying check out Les Brown as well. Yeah, Les Brown's a great thought leader, really, really good. Pamela says it's not working on a phone. Pamela, it's working on my phone. Got it right here. I don't know what's going on. Maybe you need to update your Facebook software, your Facebook app on your phone. Someone type that into the comments for me on Facebook. Tell Pamela maybe to do an update, or I don't know, try a different device. It should be working now. It looks like everyone else has been able to join. So tonight we're going to be looking at, I'm just going to give you an intro to this book. Like I say, I don't have the full book to hand, but I have got some awesome excerpts out of this book. It starts off going through basically Sean's life story, which I'm not going to go through because you've heard a little bit about it there, and I'm sure if you buy this book you're going to want to read that yourself. But ultimately, this guy has faced a lot of adversity in his life. You've seen him, you've seen what he looks like, how he is, the problems that he has and the challenges that he faces, and it's caused a lot of challenges in his life. Everything from feeling enough, going out and getting what he wants, kind of knowing what he can do with his life, what he wants to do with his life. Relationships have been really tough. He says he always would meet these girls who would kind of fall for his personality, would fall for who he was as a person, but then their friends would be like, oh, you can do so much better than a little guy in a wheelchair. And then, he said, it seriously screwed him up until, that was, from his early teens to, his mid-20s before he was like, actually, I'm going to kind of, conquer this. And one thing I like about this guy is anytime he has faced adversity like that, even like when it comes to relationships, he goes out and takes massive, massive action. So he actually, when he went through all that heartbreak around relationships, he's going, not only as a child, am I not able to get involved with the other things my mates are getting involved with? I'm not allowed to go exploring, climb trees, and now I'm being blocked off from love as well. He was like, I'm going to go and study with some of the greatest relationship coaches on the planet. He did that with psychology. He went and studied with some of the greatest professors and doctors on the planet when it comes to psychology and neuro-linguistic programming. Lots and lots of science behind what this guy does, which is what I really like about him, is he's not full of bullshit and just positivity talk. He walks the walk metaphorically, as well as talking the talk. So we're going to look at his book tonight. The first bit of the book I'm going to read you is a section just called "Eliminating the Butt," and I want to know from everybody who Well, who resonates with this? Because I think we all do. I read it before and I was like, God, yeah, I absolutely see myself in parts of this. It starts off, it says, eliminating the but. It says, I wish I could go back in time and put my arm around that little boy crying alone in a biology lab. And this is when he went into this biology lab in high school just after he'd been dumped by this girl who he felt, very strongly about. And she did for him, but effectively her friends had pushed these predictions and this bullshit disempowering beliefs on her that she could do so much better than this guy. And he didn't understand because he's like, why doesn't she want the guy who's funny, who's compassionate, who really understands her? And ultimately, it really, bashed him when it comes to his kind of like, his self-worth. And he ended up basically going and crying for an hour completely on his own in a biology lab. And he said, I wish I could go back in time, put my arm around the little boy crying alone in a biology lab and tell him that one day he'd be attracting some of the most beautiful, talented and loving women on the planet. Unfortunately, he probably wouldn't believe me. He had way too many buts. I've learned that when people hide behind their limitations, they can't see anything else. That's why I've been on an endless pursuit to help wake people up, shake them if I have to, just to prove to them that they are capable of overcoming anything that might arise in their life. Sadly, it's sometimes nearly impossible to fight the greatest negative force on the planet, the size of one's butt. Okay? And we're all going to have butts of different sizes, Caroline, all right? If you listen on the audio experience as well, appreciate you. Hopefully your butt isn't massive, but maybe it is. He says, I have travelled to 47 states and 6 countries, meeting thousands of people a year, and here's what I've learned. The only thing that has ever held you back from having what you want in life is the size of your butt. I missed a couple of comments there on Periscope, guys. Apologies for that. As I'm reading, it's difficult to keep an eye on everything. Say them again if they're important, though. He says, our butt is that cushy excuse that we rest on when we want to quit, when we believe that there's nothing more we can do to resolve our challenges or accomplish our goals or fix our mistakes. Does any of this sound familiar? Sure, I'd like to change, but that's what people say. Yeah, I'd like to change, but I'm too old. I hear this a lot, and we've had this a lot on these scopes. I'm too old or I'm too young. I'm too short, I'm too tall, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, I'm not pretty, I'm not handsome enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm from a broken home, I have a learning disability. Our butts are huge, and the longer we sit on them, the more they continue to grow. Okay, here are just 3 examples that people who are stuck on their butts have shared with me over the years. I'd exercise and eat right, but I just don't have the time. Who's made that excuse? Annabelle, good evening. My first time watching live is at Pizza Express. You'll be growing your butt at Pizza Express, Annabelle. Usually listen to the podcast. Thank you, Annabelle. Appreciate you tuning in. Live from Pizza Express, amazing. So yeah, who said that? I would exercise, but I just don't have the time. Because you do. Get up an hour earlier. That's what I started doing. It's easy to fit it into your life. I'd quit smoking, but I'm too stressed out. I saw a guy on my Facebook the other day. He quit smoking years ago. His son had a little accident. He burnt his hand this week, had to take him away A&E. He then put on his Facebook, it's been a stressful day when you started smoking again. He didn't have to do that. He chose to do that. Okay, he could have relieved that stress in other ways. I know, obviously, his son hurt himself. He's bad. It wasn't a near-death experience, though. It wasn't like, horrific. It obviously just, pushed him a little bit far, and he allowed his butt to get in the way. And then that's another slippery slope down. Now he's got another challenge to get over again. He's got to stop again after doing all that hard work and quitting, years and years of work or whatever it took him to do that in the first place. Now he's got to face it again. It's bullshit. This is a good one. I'd ask that girl out, but what if she rejects me? Another massive but. He says, I could fill the remaining pages of this book with nothing but examples of people sitting on their butts. In fact, a person could literally spend his entire life on his butt, and a lot of people do. Who spent most of their life right now on their butt? Anybody spent their time this week on their butt? Anybody thinking, actually, I used my butt today? I could have done this, but I told myself I was too tired. I didn't have enough time. I wasn't clever enough. I wouldn't understand that. A lot of people email me and they're like, I'd like to start, someone emailed me the other day going, I'd love to start a podcast, but I don't think I could do it. I don't think I'm technical enough. And I'm like, you've lost already if you're going into it with that intention and that belief, that limiting belief in your head. Because honestly, I say this all the time, if you want to learn anything, you can learn for free on YouTube, guys. I promise you, if you're watching this video replay on YouTube, once this is finished, type in tutorial and then what you want to learn, and you're going to find it, whether it's tutorial cooking the perfect pancake or tutorial, acting tips, how to act. whatever, you will find tutorials on there from some of the greatest people in the world. Michael Caine's acting class is on YouTube for free. There's so much incredible stuff out there for free if people are prepared to get off their butts and look for it. So he says how some folks can keep you on your butt, and this is how other people in your life can keep you on your butt. He said it's sad to think that people are often pressured to stay on their butts by their own friends and family, but that's often what happens. Anyone ever felt this? Andrew Connor says, I'm not a lazy person, but there's always a but or worse. I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people do that. I could do it now, but I'll do it tomorrow. I can't be bothered. So who thinks their friends or their family might be keeping them on their butts right now? And you're choosing to actually honour their beliefs about what you're capable of. Again, I get emails about it all the time. Someone said they gave up acting. God, someone emailed me today. Bless her, she gave up acting at 16 because her parents told her to quit, even though for 3 years from 13 she'd be working professionally. She got to 16, they didn't want her to do it anymore, even though she'd had quite a lot of success already. She then had to come back to the industry, I think at 20, 21, something like that, effectively starting again, and she was looking for advice now on where she should start, because what she did there, it's hard at 16 because you honour your parents, don't you? But what she was doing there is living the life that she felt other people wanted her to live, as opposed to being true to herself. That's literally the number one regret of the dying. We did the book on book club called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying by Bronnie Ware. Buy it, read it, it will inspire the shit out of you. The number one regret was living the life other people wanted, as opposed to the life that you wanted for yourself. And that's what she was doing. And this is what happens. A lot of other people will limit you. So why do some people feel the need to tear down others when they see progress being made? It's one of the worst attributes, one of the most unattractive attributes I could possibly see in a person. Short answer is, though, we don't like to be left behind, okay? If you get off your butt while your friends are still sitting on theirs, they fear you might drift away from them, okay? That feeling of separation is unnerving for most people. If you're getting better, then they must, in contrast, be worse. That's what they think in their head. If you're getting better, they're like, oh, well, I'm just getting worse, unless they're getting off their butts as well. And no one likes to feel like that, okay? They'd rather keep you on your butt right alongside them. This is what people do, is, misery attracts misery, doesn't it? People like to hang out with other people who are whining, bitching about how unfair life is. Actors love to get together and tell each other just how quiet it is. They do. And, oh my God, I've written about so many new commissions in the UK. If you're watching the UK and you're a TV actor, already today, I probably published 3 new commissions on actonthis.tv. Channel 4 are just pumping out drama right now. New Shane Meadows drama was just announced. The 3rd series of No Offence for BBC. There's so much happening right now. And yet still, actors want to get together, they want to sit around, have a coffee, and they want to say, it's quiet, isn't it? Or got in touch with my agent 3 months ago because they don't want to get in touch with their agent on a regular basis because they're shit scared. And, oh yeah, they said it was quiet. They're putting me forward for everything, but it's quiet. Bullshit. Call your agents out on their shit if they're telling you it is quiet. Because it isn't. If they're struggling to get people into the room, it's because their contacts aren't good enough. And that's just brutal but honest. It might be that you're at the level that they need you to be at as well, in order to get you into those rooms. So don't just blame your agent. Say, I could be seen for that, but my agent in doing their work. But if an agent tells you that it's quiet, that's a lie. Basically, they're on their butt. I could get you some work, but it's quiet. No, it's not. Really isn't. There's never been more drama being made than there is today. So don't, it's a partnership. It's not like, oh yeah, go and slate your agent at all, because it's down to you. You need to point your finger at yourself if you're not getting in the room as well. You've got to do 80% of the work. You only pay them 20%, so they should only really do 20% of the work. But it's so busy right now, and yet actors still want to get together around a table and say, yeah, it's quiet, isn't it? And they want to all sit on their butts, because if they see one of their mates getting off their butt and going and getting work and doing things other actors aren't doing in order to have things other actors aren't having, they don't like it and they want to pull them back. And they want to go, oh, wait a minute, no, we're all going to be down here on our own together. If you're having success, it makes me feel worse for not having success. Sean says, besides separation and humiliation, we humans don't like seeing those we love get hurt. This is another angle at it as well. People who love you don't want to see you try to get off your butt and only end up failing, okay? Fear makes them keep you on your butt. And that's what your family's doing a lot of the time. they're not really doing it because they feel that you're going to be better than them. Your friends will be like that, but your family are generally keeping you on your butt to protect you from financial loss or, feeling of inadequacy if you don't get the job, or rejection, all those things that could hurt you. So your family, do it in a way of love. Your friends will do it in a way basically to not make them feel inadequate. He says, finally, and most likely, one of the biggest reasons people don't like to see their friends and family get off their butts is that it's a huge reminder that maybe it's time for them to do the same. Okay, self-reflection, when placed right in front of your face, can cause feelings of discomfort. That's why many alcoholics don't like to drink alone. Food addicts want you to join them in dessert, and procrastinators want you to blow off your work and goof around with them. Who's been in a restaurant is like, they know they shouldn't eat a strawberry sundae, but then they'll go, oh, but I'll get one if you get one. And it's a really innocent example, but it works exactly the same. It's exactly the same. You've got to flip this around and use it for good, though. Dawn says always. So, for instance, if you can use that for positive things, though, as well. You're like, actually, I want to do this short film, but I'm too afraid, in case I fail. I'd love to do this short film, but I don't know how. Or, but I don't have the kit. Or, but I might lose money. Get a few other people who want to make a short film and use that same excuse for having the dessert. Oh, well, I'll do it if you do it, for actually pushing each other forward. Well, you know what? I want to do this web series. I'll put some money into doing it and some time and commitment if you will, and all come together that way. It's a super positive thing to do. So you can make this work for you as well. He says, humans are funny creatures. We claim to want honesty, yet we're often in total denial. We lie to ourselves on a regular basis. We proclaim to the world that we want something, and we won't put forth the effort to get it. Do you know what? That just basically sums up so much in this industry, so much in life for me. So many actors say it's the only thing they want to do. The amount of people who use this almost kind of like noble, it's not an excuse, it's a reason, a noble reason they think it's what people want to hear by saying, I don't have enough self-confidence in myself. Being myself, I don't accept it. But, when I'm acting, I take on a character, I feel so empowered because it's not me and I can do everything and I just feel amazing. And then you go, okay, well, I'll accept that. But then when I look into what you're doing, you're spending less than 5% of your time actually doing that thing. So I don't think that's true. I think you're lying to yourself. You're telling yourself that's what you want and that's what you want to do. But actually, the evidence of you doing that is barely there. So I think a lot of people just, want to give a really noble reason for why they want to be an actor. I'm like, I want to be an actor because, for loads of reasons that are ever so slightly selfish. I love doing these periscopes and podcasts because I love the sound of my own voice, Who doesn't? It doesn't have to be this noble, altruistic reason for doing stuff. Obviously, the reason that I'm on here at 9:30 at night doing a book club every week for free, week in, week out for 2 years so far, is because I want to make a positive impact. But I get a load out of it personally myself. I enjoy it. It's almost a little performance. It's a little show. I get to play with technology. I get to try new software out. I'm a geek, so I love all that kind of stuff. I don't do it because I'm so insecure as Ross. I decide I put on a character and then I'm amazing to take over the world. I just don't buy that. I think you should do things for yourself, but don't lie to yourself. It seems the reasons why you are doing it. And if it is, that you say it's the most important thing in the world to you, look at how often you're doing it, because so many people just aren't doing it as if it is the most important thing in the world to them. It's actually like it's like the 56th most important thing in their life that they're doing because they're sat on their butts. So he says, where's up to there? He says, or another thing we do is we say we don't mind our current condition, and yet we secretly hate it. So when people say, how are you, or whatever, how you doing? Oh yeah, I'm fine. This is a reason why I don't like this whole fake it till you make it bullshit. Because if you're faking it till you're making it, so to speak, you're lying again. So when someone says, how you doing? You go, oh, I'm amazing. Yeah, I'm really, really good. I'm having loads of success and my career's going really great. And you're faking it till you make it. But then you're not really ever going to make it, because all these people who could help you suddenly go, oh, well, Dawn doesn't need any help. She just said she's amazing, so that's fine. I was, going to offer you something, but actually, it doesn't look like you need it. You're flying. I'm going to go and see Dave over here. He might need it more, which is why. And Caroline says, yeah, it's like you're not being authentic. It isn't. If you live with authenticity, you will always win because you'll always be honest. You'll never have to lie. If you want to lie about shit, you've got to have such a good memory about what you've lied about because you will be caught out, particularly in this industry. So just be authentic and quit this whole, saying you don't mind your current condition but secretly hating it. It says, we hate being financially strapped. We hate being overweight, lonely, or controlled. We hate feeling emotionally or physically inhibited. Habit convinces us that it's much easier to act as if everything were fine the way it is than to actually do something to change things. It says it's not true. You really can get off your butts, and it's not as hard as that negative tape loop playing in your mind tells you it will be. It isn't as difficult. You can make change really quickly in your life as well, really quickly, really simply. Give me some hearts if you're ready to make some bloody change in your life on Periscope. I'm going to jump into the comments on Facebook, see what's going on here. If you've got any questions, just leave them in the comments on Facebook because they don't disappear. I've got to keep an eye on Periscope because the comments fade away. Jake Francis is here. Jake, good evening, man. Jake, great article, Jake. Jake wrote an article. He's been helping as a bit of a casting assistant recently for a casting director. Wrote a really good article that I thought was really funny as well, Jake, but it had some very valid points. I think you were casting a film or something like that. And post it in the Acts on This Facebook group, mate. And I'd like people to read that. I tweeted it for you the other day. But it was great, really, really good and honestly written. So yeah, he said, "Hey Ross." So yeah, definitely post that. If you've not already done that, Jake, I might have missed it if you have already posted it. But if not, post it. I'd like people to see that. So why we sit on our butts? Okay, most people sit on their butts for one of three reasons. Okay, figure out which of these it is for you. One, they truly believe that their butt is holding them back. They literally can't move. Has anyone here got a butt that they think is really genuine? Because I'll probably crush it for you right now if you have. I would love you to give me an example of a butt, that's stopping you from doing something. And if it's anything to do with money, it doesn't, that's all bollocks. People have such negative relationships with money. If it's something to do with time, that's bollocks as well. The thing you need to look at, if you're giving me excuses about time and why you don't have time to do stuff, and I admire you all so much, actually, for being on here. If you're watching live, it's 9:30 in the UK here. So many people think about it right now will be watching bullshit on Netflix. They'll be watching some soap opera on the telly. They'll be watching some kind of film on Sky Movies or something like that. You guys are actually all different because you're all here and you're actually improving your lives and you're invested in yourself. So it doesn't really apply to you. But those people who are moaning about time and they do a day job, they work 9 till 5, they've got to come home, they've got to cook the children tea and put the kids to bed. The kids will be in bed. Say the kids are in bed at 8, okay? What are you doing with those hours between 8 and midnight? That's 4 hours a day, across a week. That's 20 hours in the working week. You could spend 20 full hours. That's like 3 whole day shifts in your job working on what you really want in your life. And I bet you're not doing that, okay? If you really went for it, you don't have kids, and you're young, free and single right now, you're only in your 20s, what are you doing between 7 p.m. and 2 a.m.? You could use those, how many hours have we got there? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 7 hours. 35 hours a week. Just in the in the weekdays, and then you've got whole weekends potentially as well. That's what you've got to look at when you're looking at time and going, I don't have time for this stuff. If you're going, this is a real thing for me. I think it really is holding me back because I don't have time. Yes, you do. Andrew says, sorry for a rant, but reading these books and listening to motivational speakers, there's a lot of people out there who are just like to put and keep others down. People are jealous. They selfishly want to screw you over and make you feel you are crap. The advice is not to listen to them. How can we hold anyone close to us when everyone has that ability to keep us down, which are normally the ones closest to us? Yeah, but you've got to realise as well, Andrew, great points there, mate, but you're choosing those people who are closest to you. Obviously, your family you can't choose, I get that. But if you're hanging out with 5 other battery drainers in your life, you're choosing to be around them. Don't ditch them. Don't cut them out of your life completely. You don't have to do that. Go and just find 5 more inspiring people who are 5 to 25 years ahead of you, who can become mentors and who can guide you and have ultimately what you would like, and they can help you get it so much faster than you getting it on your own. But yeah, completely agree. A lot of people will hold you back, and sometimes they don't know they're doing it. They think they're doing it for their own good. So number one, okay, a lot of people think that their butt is holding them back. They literally can't move. They think it is genuine, but normally we can crush that. 2, getting off their butts is too big a risk. It's easier to be in the unhappy state they're used to than to take the chance to be happy, because you've always got to take a chance to be happy. You've got to take a risk. The thinking goes like this. You know that if you don't study for the test, you are more than likely to fail. Yet, if you study hard, you still aren't guaranteed an A. Some people would rather stay stuck on their butts, addicted to the certainty of failure, than risk the possibility of disappointment. So a lot of people, I noticed a lot of kids at my school did this. They would be like, right, I could be successful. I could pass my GCSEs if I wanted to. I could get an A if I could be arsed. Just can't be arsed. You go, no, what you're actually doing there is you're so afraid of putting everything into it and not getting an A and actually feeling, like a failure than you are of getting a shit grade and going, oh, well, I could have done better anyway, it doesn't matter. That's actually what's happening there. They're making the fear of actually putting everything they have into it and failing than the excitement of putting everything they have into it and it actually working. A lot of actors do this as well. They would rather say, oh yeah, I could have been an actor. Oh yeah, they said I had loads of talent. I could have been an actor. It's easier to live with that. I didn't try. That's why I didn't make it. Then I gave it everything and I still didn't make it. So that's why a lot of people sit on their butts. They're just addicted to that certainty of failure. Certainty is a human need that is one of the 4 main human needs that we all require. We have to feel certain about situations. We like that certainty. So sometimes the certainty of failure is just as addictive as the certainty of success. Number 3, they're mired in a mixture of reasons 1 and 2. So it's like 1 and 2 are mixed together. They're partially hypnotized into believing that their butts will forever hold them back. Plus, they find it easier to keep the status quo than to see what would happen if they tried to change it. So it's almost like better the devil you know. I know people like that who won't learn to drive because they can't handle it if they didn't pass. Says Caroline, yeah, it's the same thing. It's like, what have you got to lose? So what they're doing there, they're making the noise and the fear of failure way louder than the excitement of passing. And it's just, oh God, I couldn't think of anything worse. I'm not even allowed to drive because of my eyes. I'd love to be able to drive, man. So yeah, get them off their butts, Caroline. So he says, you know what? None of this is true. The sad truth is, the more you sit on your butt, the weaker you get, okay? So all of those excuses, none of them are true. But the longer you sit on your butt, the more, the weaker and weaker you get. If you never use your muscles, they eventually, they get weaker, okay? The longer you stay frozen in that place of fear, excuses or insecurity, you'll never go after what you really want in life. Okay, you may be able to see what you want, but it will always be just out of reach. Is that really what you want? And maybe your acting career is like that, where you're like, I can see it, I can almost feel it. It's just I need to stretch a little bit further to be able to just get like one finger on it, and then I'll touch it a bit, I'll experience it, I'll stretch even further until I can grab it and it's in my hand. But it requires risk. So Bobby, I hope you don't mind me saying, so one of Bobby is on here, he left a comment in Bulletproof Actor in the program that he's doing at the moment today, saying that actually, the fear of success itself is sometimes greater than the fear of failure. And we were talking about kids who were born into privilege and wealth, and I said I've had a few friends whose fathers were super rich millionaires. They owned huge businesses, and I saw it go both ways. Some of these kids used that success of their parents as inspiration and motivation to go and get that success themselves, and they didn't want any handouts off their parents. They paid for their university fees like all the other kids did, and they took out loans even though they didn't have to. And they went on to make some, really, really big strides and have that success themselves. Knowing, there is certainty there, knowing that if it all goes to shit, then there's a safety net there. But they didn't use that as like, I don't have to work hard. They strived and strived and strived. Equally, I've got other mates, it's really sad, who, to be honest with you, just sat on their arse when they were at uni smoking weed. And it really affected them. There's one guy who's like, just can barely speak. His speech is so slurred because I'm sure it's killed all his brain cells, man. But he knew that he never really had to work or get off his butt because his dad would always bail him out. He knew no matter what, he was going to inherit, I don't know, somewhere in the region of £20 million. So ultimately, he had, you know, just, I don't know, kind of like, he knew it was always going to work out for him, regardless of what he did. Kind of saying waste. Yeah, it is. It really is, because you could do so much with that, you know. And I was saying, actually, you know what? If you're in this situation where you have that kind of safety net, use that to take risks. You know, because there's so many people who would love to be able to take those risks, knowing that there is a net there if they do fall. But yeah, you know, you've got to become comfortable with the uncomfortable. Regardless of your financial background or your family or anything like that, because if you don't take risks, you really won't ever have very much, I don't think. So he says, get off your butts now, okay? He says, this book is organised into 6 lessons designed to help you get off your butt. And this is what we're going to be looking at over the next 3 weeks. Matt Hall has joined. See, Matt, this is interesting. Matt Hall, great guy, had his car broken into after a theatre performance at the Lowry Theatre in Manchester. Last week, Matt, I think it was. I bet, knowing the kind of guy this is, he didn't sit on his butt by going, oh, you know what, yeah, I could have carried on, but I had my laptop stolen and it had all my information on it, so I might as well give up on my career now. Because I know, Matt, you lost a lot of shit on that wasn't backed up because your actual hard drives that backed all that stuff up got stolen as well, which is really shit, man. But I bet, knowing the kind of person you are and the people you surround yourself with, that you haven't just stayed on your butt, where a lot of people would. They would use that as such a great excuse for why they couldn't carry on with a show or couldn't carry on with their career or whatever project they were working on at that time, because effectively it had all been stolen. And they would prefer to sit in the certainty of going, oh, well, you know, we'll never know whether that show was going to be a success now because it's gone, as opposed to going, right, let's actually work through this. So fair play, Matt. I'm sure. Well, I know that's what you're doing because I've seen you post on Instagram. So, this book, we're going to be looking at it over the next 3 weeks. And he says that each lesson includes activities. And I might give you an activity tonight to go away and do this week. And I want you to give these activities your full attention. You will need what Sean calls a get off your butt now journal, which is effectively just a notepad, guys. Get a notepad for when we're doing this next week. You won't need it tonight necessarily, but for next week and the next 3 weeks. So you can write down some responses in that and you can keep them to hand so you know kind of what you're doing. And then it says, following each of the lessons, you'll read inspiring true stories about how friends of mine got off their butts. I love homework, says Dawn. I'm going to give you some homework, Dawn. It says, how his friends got off their butts to overcome challenging circumstances. Avoid the temptation to skip over these stories because I'm going to be reading you quite a few of them. But I would get this book as well if you can. Get it on Kindle. It's only a tenner if you just want to get it electronically. And he says they're extremely entertaining, not to mention critical, to learn more about ending self-sabotage for good. Of course, in each lesson, you'll continue to learn more and more about me and my friends. And most important, you'll learn more about yourself, what has been holding you back from living your life to the fullest, and the wonderful places you can go when you get off your butt, okay? And the first lesson we're going to be looking at next week is connection. So connection is another absolutely integral human need. We have 4 human needs: certainty, variety, love and connection, and significance. So we looked at certainty today. We need certainty. Connection is critical, and if you're an actor, this is absolutely key to your performance. There is a huge difference. Who would agree with me by saying there's a big difference between communicating and connecting with somebody in a scene as well as an actor? You can say your lines and be communicating with that other actor opposite you, but who's been in a scene, and I'll put my hand up here, I've been in a scene before where I haven't felt I'm connecting with that person. We're just going through the rigmarole of communicating. So I still understand what they're saying, you know, and the cues are all there, and to a lot of people watching, they might think we're feeling things that I'm just not feeling in that scene because I'm not really connecting with that person. Listening, not hearing, says Fanny. Yes, another good way to look at it. Lots of time, says Caroline, going through the motions. So we're going to look at this in and out of your life. Regan agrees with that. And Matt says, yes, got to keep on going. So Matt has kept on going after his laptop got stolen. But yeah, so we're going to look at this next week about the connection, how you should connect more. It dawned on me last week when the more time I spend in London particularly, but also up here in the north, we're totally fallible for this as well. The amount of times, you sit on a tube and it's deadly silent. There's like everybody's looking down at a paper or their phone, even though they've probably got no Wi-Fi on the underground and they're not actually getting any new information on their phone. I mean, I know you can connect on some stops, but they're still so stuck in their phones, their iPads, their newspapers. No one's even communicating, never mind connecting. And I think I have been through just walk the streets of Manchester surrounded by people, and very rarely connect with people. I've started more consciously connecting. Sometimes even I have to use a little excuse. So sometimes I'll use something that's with that person. I'll be like, right, here's somebody who looks interested. I'm just going to make a connection with them as I walk past them. So someone's dog the other day was a huge Rottweiler, was like massive, was rolling around on this grass like just some kind of crazy child, just throwing himself around. He looked so happy. Such an intimidating, crazy-looking dog, though. But just looked like he was having the time of his life. And I was walking past, and I was like, yeah, look, he's doing, just exactly how I feel this morning. And then you stop and have a conversation with the person whose dog it is. And then you make a connection. I've done this in coffee shops before. I've overheard people have conversations. And I've stopped for a second, connected with that person. I'm really sorry, I just overheard you speaking about such and such a thing. And then those people, I found we've got so much in common. A lot of people work out of coffee shops, I think, particularly entrepreneurs and business people and online people and marketers and things like that. And you meet and make some great connections with people that you never would have had if you'd have never gone out of your way to connect. So next week, we're going to look at ways you can connect with people on a just, not a deep level, but just on definitely a deeper level than you're probably connecting with people when you're out and about. And I'm going to set you a challenge. Well, Sean's going to set us a challenge at the end of next week's book club, where you're going to go out and consciously make connections next week and tell me all about them. I always talk to strangers, says Caroline. I do a lot of the time now. And just, someone asked me the other day about smiling, going, you seem to smile at people when you don't know them. I'm like, I make an effort to do that. And I know a lot of people will be like, God, he's crazy. That guy's a crazy guy. Or like, oh, they'll kind of like, they won't smile back or they'll look away. But I think the return on the investment of a smile can be absolutely like limitless. It really, really can. How many times has like you've been on a train or a bus or something like that and a child has looked up and smiled at you? And it's different, innit, when a kid smiles at you than when an adult smiles at you. Some people are suspicious of adults, and we shouldn't be. But when a child, is maybe in its pram or something like that and looks up and smiles or waves or like, sticks its tongue out or whatever, it's totally infectious, I think that is. I'm more of a scowler, says Fanny. Well, we're going to get you to embrace your smiler, Fanny, because I think honestly, like, just the return on a smile can be infinite. When people return those smiles and the connection that can open up, and you might end up connecting with somebody who has a huge impact in your life. I'm sure every single person here has, at some point or another, met somebody completely by fluke, and that person has become a very, very integral person in their life. I'm interested actually to know if that's happened. It has for me. Where you've met somebody, it's like, if I'd have walked into that place 10 seconds later, our paths wouldn't have crossed. And that's unthinkable because that person has become such a big part of my life. And yet, we almost missed each other. So Caroline says that sometimes I think I shouldn't have started speaking to this one. Yeah. Fanny says, no, never. Well, maybe, Fanny, this is critical for you then, because maybe you're just not connecting in real life with people as much as you should. I know you put yourself out quite a lot on the internet. I think for you, you've got yourself really comfortable with the online world now in terms of like, I know you say that every time you're nervous when you put a video out and that kind of thing. And yet you still do it. So I think you're comfortable with that. I know you've started going to an open mic night and stuff recently. I think you need to do more of that and connect with people in the real world where you're no longer safe behind a screen. I think maybe you've got a little bit addicted to the safety of take 1, take 2, take 3. If it's not right, I can give it another take. It might not be perfect, but it's good enough. Whereas in the real world, you don't get, obviously, a second take, a third take. You smile at somebody, and what happens, that's it. Zavil, what an amazing name. I don't know if I said that properly. It says, it's true, smile is so powerful. Thank you so much for watching. Don't recognise you as watching before, so thank you. I think we've got some new people in here. People might have opened my email and actually come over and clicked onto this. If you have, by the way, and you're joining for the first time and you got my email, just hugely appreciate you. I do this every Monday and every Wednesday night. It's totally free. We just come out online. We hang out online. I read part of a book to you on a Wednesday night. On a Monday, we do something separate called Motivation and Mind Hacks, which is just a session to get you more inspired, more motivated, more productive. A lot of it's science-based. It's not airy-fairy nonsense. It really, should help you get further in your life faster. So thank you. And Patrick's here as well. Good evening, Patrick, on Facebook too. So yeah, it's powerful. What have I done here? I think I'm just having a look. I think something might have happened on Facebook where I've got a what's happened on Facebook here? Oh, it looks like I've got. It looks like the feed might have stopped. It's not stopped on Periscope. We're still good. But oh no, it's not. There you go. It's all right. I'm back. It looks like I hadn't refreshed it properly. It looked like it had stopped mid broadcast there. So thank you. Yeah, if you're joining for the first time, do appreciate you. And we've done 190. How many of these have we actually done? I think we've done. This is like 196. I think. So we should do something big for the 200th Periscope, which will be in like 2 weeks' time. If anyone's got any suggestions for stuff they think we should do for the 200th one, let me know. That would be cool. So that's it for tonight, guys. Basically, that's the book club for tonight. But yeah, we're definitely going to set those challenges on Connection for next week. I will have an actual physical copy of Sean's book tomorrow. If you want to get it yourself and read along, get yourself over to Amazon. You can order it. I think the hardback's quite expensive though. The hardback was £16. Because it must be imported from the States. Cake, biscuits, and juice people want for the party for the 200th episode. Do you know what, though? It's amazing, isn't it, to think we've done 200 of these. I first started off, again, with that but, going, I could do a live show each week, but what if no one watches? I could do it, but what if people think I'm shit? I could do it, but what if people hate me? All that stuff. And then you go, wow, we've done this for 2 years now. 100 shows a year, roughly, I think it is. And it's incredible. I think we've created something cool. I couldn't do it without you guys. When was the first one, Mary said? Mary, I think it was like, oh, God, do you know what? I'll tell you exactly when it was. It might not be quite 2 years yet, but if you want to watch the replays, guys, go to actonthis.tv. Click on the menu in the top left-hand corner and click on Periscope Replays, and you can watch all of them. You'll watch all 190 odd that I've done so far. If you also go to iTunes and search for Act on This TV on iTunes, you can subscribe to the audio of these Periscopes for free as well. That'll get delivered to you completely for free every single week. And you can do that on Stitcher.com as well. If you don't have an Apple device and you want to just download the audio, Stitcher.com is where you can get it for your Android devices. So the first one was... got it here on my screen, and it was called Interact with Us Live on Periscope, our first scope. That was when I was still using That was bullshit. That was me not being authentic. Not, rather than saying interact with me, my first scope. I was trying to be bigger than I was because I was insecure that people wouldn't watch if I just said, oh, it's me. And it's bullshit. Don't ever, if you've got a website, guys, write in the third person. You just sound like a dick. I did for a long time, and I really regret it. Well, I don't regret it. I learned from it. Oh my goodness! Wow. So it's not quite 2 years. So the first Periscope was published online on September the 13th, 2015. So nearly 2 years ago. What's that? A year and 10 months. At 17:34. So I probably actually did that the night before if I published the replay on the 13th. So probably September the 12th, Mary, 2015. So we'll have another party on September the 12th. We'll do a party for the 200th episode. And maybe I should edit together some highlights of all the previous ones. We'll put some funny moments together, or something like that. And that was a month before Bobby took his first acting class. No way. There you go. How time flies, eh? 2 years almost. That's just absolutely crazy. But thank you for being with me throughout. I got booted and had to log back on, says Regan. Oh yeah, I noticed something, Regan. Something happened, didn't it, on Facebook then? That's because I thought the broadcast has stopped. But yeah, I refreshed as well and it came back on. And Patrick's saying arrange a birthday party. We'll do summer, I'm sure. So with that, guys, I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you to everybody who shared this tonight. If you're listening on the audio experience, I would massively appreciate a review on iTunes or Stitcher.com. Give it a review, share it with your mates. If you think the sort of stuff will be interesting to people who aren't even actors, because it applies to everybody, please share it. And tweet me, let me know your thoughts. I'm up for any suggestions. You can email me anytime, ross@actonthis.tv. If you want to discuss a certain topic on one of these broadcasts, you want to look at a specific book on one of these broadcasts, or if you just need help in general. I reply to everything. Sometimes it takes me a couple of weeks to get back to everybody. I had to reply to 127 emails on Sunday. But I do it. It's something that I pride myself on. If people take the time to reach out to me, I will take the time to reach back. It just might take me a little bit, bit of time sometimes. So yeah, I appreciate you. Has that been useful? People enjoyed it? Let me know if you're looking forward to the challenge for next week on Connection. But go check out Sean's TED Talk. The thing I showed you at the beginning, you can watch the full. He's done a couple. You can watch the full TED Talk on YouTube for free. Just search for Sean Stephenson, and Sean is spelled Sean. That's how he spells it. Good stuff, says Caroline. Thank you, Caroline. Appreciate everybody for spending this time with me and watching. Just double check Facebook now. All good. Regan's back online. We're all good in the hood. So appreciate you. If you're not part of the Facebook group as well, come and join the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/actonthisTV. We've got nearly 6,000 members in there right now. So make sure you come and join that, and make sure you've liked the Facebook page. So if you're watching on Facebook right now, make sure you've liked the Facebook page, because that's where I'm going to be doing all the broadcasts from now on. I've just done something on my screen here, guys, where I now can't end the broadcast. That's hilarious. There you go. I know. I think we're back. See, that's it. When you've got no producer and you try to do this all yourself, sometimes it's bloody difficult. I'm telling you. But there you go. Should be good now. Now I've got to try and elegantly pull the broadcast up on Facebook so I can end it. Let's have a look here. If anyone's got any last minute questions, let's just pad a bit of time out whilst I try and fix this. Just let me know. Let's have a look. I'll sit back for a sec. Just let it do its thing. About to experiment cutting my own hair for the first time. Bobby, bloody hell, mate. Good luck, man. He's cutting his hair for the first time. I hope that goes well for you. Do post pictures in the Facebook group. Let us know how it went. Definitely. Thank you, Caroline. Appreciate you all. And I will. There you go. It looks like I'm pretty good to end this. I will catch up with you soon. But like I say, anything to do for you, actonthis.tv, ross@actonthis.tv, and I'll see you on Monday night for some motivation and mind hacks. Thank you so much if you watched for the first time. Bye for now.